welcome to this month's travel-friendly glute and core circuit. Today you're just going to need a bench or maybe a sofa or a couch to put your feet up on and a glute loop to put around your knees. So let's get started. I'll show you all the moves, a few reps of each, and then I'll go through the whole circuit, and then you can choose how many rounds you want to do. Could be you repeat it just one time to get the blood flowing, get a little recovery, 2 times, 3 times, or even up to 4 times, depending on the time you have available. Let's get started. The first move in this circuit is going to be a feet elevated bridge. So you're actually going to come down to the ground for this one, kind of scoot closer than you think, put the feet up on the bench or the couch or the sofa, and then from there, dig into the heels to lift the glutes, squeeze, and lower with control. Now don't hyperextend, you don't need to go too far, just kind of to the point where there's a line from your shoulders to your knees, and then tuck the chin, kind of tuck the pelvis up towards the nose, so posterior pelvic tilt versus this is an anterior pelvic tilt, so kind of tuck up and then slowly lower. So you're actually gonna do 20 of these, but I'm just gonna show you a few to introduce you. This is again the feet elevated bridge. Okay, then the next move, we're gonna alternate glutes and core in the circuit. So the next move is just gonna be a sit-up. So you can just scoot a little farther away, and you can do whatever sit-up of choice, but the one I'm gonna show you is a fully extended sit-up. So arms all the way overhead, legs all the way long, and then a slow controlled reach all the way forward with a nice reach, then slow control back down overhead, 1 vertebrae at a time. That was 1. I'll just show you 3 right now, and then we'll do all 12 when we go through the circuit together in a minute. So that'll be the second move, the sit-up. The third move, you're gonna go back to glutes. So you're gonna grab your glute loop. You can sit on your chair to put it on. A little bit above the knees. Closer to the knees is actually harder. Closer to the hips is easier, so kind of find your sweet spot. And then this is a standing hinge glute hip abduction. So you're gonna kind of think, shut the car door with the butt to get into your hinge. And then from there, you're gonna do little pulses outwards. So you might wanna put your hands on your glute med, make sure they're working. It's okay if your feet kind of come out onto the outer edges. And you're gonna be doing 30 in this hinge position. So be aware of the core and try to really make this motion come more from that little glute med muscle. You could force it from your inner thighs or from kind of like your knee area, but try not to do that. Try to let that just follow along with the tiny motion that glute med is forcing. That will be the third move. Then we'll go back to core. So the next core move is gonna be a bicycle crunch. Again, you can replace any core move with a core move that you prefer. But for this one, you can again come down to the floor. And if you're gonna do the bicycle crunch, you'll lay back, hands behind the heads. Make sure you're kind of keeping like an orange or a peach under your chin. You don't wanna squeeze it and get all the juice, so kind of nice and light and not cranking your head forward. 1 foot comes up, other foot comes up, and then you're gonna actually think not elbow to knee, but armpit to knee. That will keep that nice openness with the neck. So you'll think left armpit to right knee, right armpit to left knee. Now, one thing I see people do with this that it's not wrong, but it's not as effective as it could be, is they go really fast, when really if you slow it down, it's much more challenging. And they bring the knee really far in, and I think they're trying really hard to like hip the knee to the elbow, but that's actually not doing anything for them. In fact, you'll find if you keep the knee further out, like try not to even pass the 90-degree mark, it makes it far more challenging of an exercise. And just focus on bringing that shoulder blade up off the ground. That one's gonna be 15 per side, so 30 total reps. Then we'll go back to glutes. I believe it's another banded movement. Yep, banded standing kickback. So go ahead and place that glute loop above the knees again, wherever your sweet spot is. For this one, you might want to hold on to a wall or something for security, but you also might not need to, or maybe you don't want to and you want it to be a balance challenge as well. That's an option. But let's say you're holding onto a wall, then you're just going to do little kickbacks here. So versus, sometimes we go at an angle or even a hip abduction to the side. In this case, we're just going straight back. You can also think of this, you can think of it as coming from your glute, or you can kind of hold to your hip flexor and think of this as a hip extension. You should feel both. You should feel your hip extend, and then as you do that, you should feel that glute major really working hard. And then you'll do 20 per side. So switch out to the other side. It might be easier if you're holding onto something to flip it around, point that toe down, try to avoid going out to the side at all. This is a straight kickback, not any abduction. All right, then the next movement is back to core. This is an RKC plank. So you're gonna wanna take note on your watch, or if you have a timer or a clock nearby, of the time, and this is going to be a 20-second hold. So a lot of times when I see people planking, they're kind of just a little bit like lazy planking, a little bit phoning it in, or just not aware of their bodies. So yesterday I was at the gym and I saw somebody planking like this. And this was just, I just wanted to go over and tap her back so that she would round out and then squeeze the glutes. And so that's what we're gonna do in this RKC plank. I want you to imagine there's no concaveness between the shoulder blade. You're rounding out, you're spreading the ground away with your forearms. You could do a high plank as well if you prefer. And then you're tucking the butt under and you're squeezing really hard. So it's almost like when you do a hip thrust, but in a plank. And then you're gonna squeeze with everything you have. And if you're squeezing really hard and you're in that posterior pelvic tilt, 20 seconds is about all you should be able to do in that variety of a plank. So it'll look like this. You'll come up into a plank. You'll think shoulders over wrists to get in that position. And then you'll round out the shoulders, tuck the butt, and squeeze and look out in front of you a few inches. I'll just show you for a second there, and then we'll do the full thing together in a minute. And then the last movement, you're gonna be pretty fatigued by this point, but you're gonna put the band back on for a final glute movement. And this one's gonna be a lateral band walk. So you want to kind of note your space and see how much space you have. I have a pretty big space here, so I'm just gonna get my mat out of the way, and then I'm gonna go back and forth, maybe like 5, 5, 5, 5. But I'm just gonna pay attention to the time actually, and I'm gonna be doing 60 seconds. So I'm gonna kind of get into a little half squat, start my timer, and then lateral band walk. So I did, oh, I was over optimistic, that was 3 steps. 3 back. Now if you don't have as much space as I have, that is not a problem. You can just go side to side. Again, tap into that glute med, see what's working, stay in that low hinge position, shutting the car door with the butt the whole time. You definitely will feel that by the time 60 seconds pass. So now you know all the movements. Just to review real quick, you're gonna do the feet elevated glute bridge for 20 reps. That will take you straight into the full extension sit-up for 12 reps. Then you'll go back to a glute movement, the hinged hip abduction, where the knees are going out and you're feeling the glute med working. From there, back to the floor to do the bicycle crunch, 15, 15 or 30 total. From there, back into the banded glute movement with the kickback, 20 per side. And from there, that really hard RKC plank where you tuck everything under and hold and squeeze for 20 seconds. And then wrapping up with that lateral band walk for 60 seconds. So let's go ahead and do a circuit together. Now that you know what to expect, I'll put a timestamp in the description below so that you can just start there, and then you can do as many rounds of this circuit as you want. I'll show you 1 round, and then you can just go right back to that after. Always rest for about 90 seconds between circuits, and maybe do a little bit of light stretching. I'll show you some of that too. And then you're ready. You can do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever you have time and energy for. So first move, we've got our lying feet elevated glute bridge. Come down to the floor, get those feet up, and starting the circuit in 3, 2, 1. Coming up and squeezing those glutes. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Getting those big muscles going. Lots of blood flow here, great for recovery. 10 down, 10 more. 9, tuck the chin. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last 1. So then you can just bring the feet down, kind of scoot back a little bit, and you're all set up for the first core move. So arms overhead, we have that full extension sit up, reach, and then 1 vertebrae at a time. Come on back down and reach overhead. That was 1. We're gonna do 12. 2. Exhale as you come up and over. 3. Always feel free to replace any core move with any other core move that you prefer. 4. 5. Keeping those heels on the ground. Halfway. 6. Also just notice the nice interplay of the core and the glutes. Core is working, glutes are resting, and really the glutes are the core of the back of the body, the posterior chain. So you're really getting that full 360 core here. I believe that was 9, 10, last 2, 11, big exhales, really contract the core, and 12. Nice. All right, then we're back to glutes. So we're going to grab that glute loop, possibly sit on the chair or the couch or the bench to put it on. Find your sweet spot near the knees or up towards the hips. Stand it up, come into that hip hinge, shut the car door with the butt, and then just little pulses outward. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're actually doing 30 here. 13, 14, that's halfway. 17, 18, 19, 20, last 10, 9. Just little pulses coming from the glute med. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming up, we're gonna go back into the core, the anterior core that is. Take a little seat and lie back, and we have the bicycle crunch. So 1 leg up, other leg up, trying not to bring the knees too far in, 90 degrees or further out, head comes up, each under the chin, opposite armpit to opposite knee, 30 total. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, try not to arch the low back, push into the ground, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, check the core. If it's pooching up, you might want to go down to a toe tap and control a little more from the pelvic floor. And I lost count, as I always do, so we're gonna give 4 more. Last 2. Rock and roll up. We're back to the posterior chain, so grab your band. We're gonna be doing those kickbacks next. Go ahead and put it over the knees. Find that sweet spot. Find something to hold on to if you would like, and then little kicks back, 20 per side. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Option to make it a balance challenge. Ooh, pretty hard as a balance challenge for me. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Flip it around, other leg, hip extension, feeling the glute working. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tune into your other foot. Keep that big toe, pinky toe, heel planted, tripod foot. Last 5, 4. Exhale, 3, 2, and 1. Great. Okay, now we're into that really intense RKC plank. So we're going to come down to the knees, hands on the mat. Think screw the hands into the mat. Pop up into that plank, shoulders over wrists, then tuck the glutes, squeeze, look out in front of you, round out the back, and we're counting to 20. I didn't look at the timer when I started, but we're gonna give it a rough estimate of 20. Squeezing as hard as you can with everything you have. We'll give it a last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Round out, push the floor away. 3, 2, 1. You might want to push into a little down dog for some relief. Maybe knees down, child's pose. And last but not least, we have our lateral band walk. And this is not a hard move, but after all you did for 60 seconds of this, I think you're gonna feel it. I'm gonna move my mat out of the way, determine in your spot where you wanna be, and then I'm actually gonna use my stopwatch so that you get the full minute. Come into that hip hinge, and here we go, 60 seconds. Ooh, you can just walk along with me. You don't even have to worry about keeping the time if you don't want to. Maybe put those hands on the glutes. Whew. And you might notice a tendency for the knees to want to cave together. So really try to keep them pushing out. Don't let them cave in. Whew. This is a great burner right at the end. I'll show you a couple stretches after this for that 90-second rest period. And then if you want to do another round, 2 rounds, or even 4 rounds by the end of the program, or just because you have more time or energy that day, go for it. Last 15 seconds, stick with it. Tune into your breathing if you need to. Scoot the band up or down if you need to. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew, you did it. Congrats. Feel free to pause there if you don't need the stretch just yet, but I do recommend a little mobility between every round. So here is what I like to do between glute circuits. If you have that bench or chair handy, and if it's natural, you might want a little cushion or like a pillow for your knee. But then I like to use the bench, make sure you can see, to come up a little bit. I'm gonna put my leg up and then come down into an elevated pigeon. So this feels really nice. I lean forward, really feel that glute. Sometimes I like to take opposite hand towards opposite knee and a nice stretch, looking back over that opposite arm. And then kind of pushing up out of there, and take the heel to the bench and just a little hip hinge, reaching towards the calf, maybe the toe, maybe all the way down, and feeling a nice hamstring stretch there. And then opposite side. So leg comes up and fold the knee in, that elevated pigeon pose. I already feel it on that side. It's always different side to side, so kind of pay attention to how it feels for you. Maybe taking it into a forward lean for more. Opposite hand to opposite knee. Look back over that opposite arm. Nice rotation. And then pushing up and out. Heel comes to the chair or bench. A little hip hinge, reaching towards that chair, but it might also be closer to your knee, depending on your level, but feeling a nice stretch down the back of the leg. Sometimes I will also do a little figure 4 stretch. So sitting on the bench, 1 foot up and over, and kind of flex that foot and then lean forward to really feel the glutes there. And then opposite side, foot up and over. And then the last one is kind of a nice hip flexor stretch. Again, you probably want a cushion for your foot, but back foot goes up on the bench. Nope, not a Bulgarian split squat. I wouldn't do that to you. Not at this point. Hip extension, feel a nice stretch in the quad, squeeze the glute. This one should feel potentially uncomfortable, but probably pretty good. And then switch it out, other side. Now notice I'm doing pretty static holds here because I'm only showing 1 round. This is pretty quick altogether, so you'd be okay to do this and repeat, but you also could keep it more dynamic. You could kind of come in and out here with the figure 4. You could be kind of in that figure 4 position, flexed foot, and then kind of coming forward and easing out. Even that pigeon from before, you can be in the pigeon pose and kind of doing little rotation pulses with the exhales, or a little kind of dynamic movement. So kind of feel out where you are within how many rounds of the circuit you intend to do, and you can determine whether you want to keep your stretch more dynamic in between the sets and then maybe more static at the end to really feel that nice hold and really lengthen those warmed muscles. Enjoy this circuit on the days you can't get to the gym, the days you're traveling, the days you don't have that much equipment or that much time, but you just want to get the blood flowing. Even one circuit in, my mood has elevated, I feel so much better, and this will definitely be a great thing to slot in between those heavier days at the gym or with the weights at home. Take care.